Hey guys, here I have the beautiful 72 color Copic marker set which I recently used to complete a challenge where I drew almost non-stop on 60 Starbucks cups. And if you want to watch that video, it was a lot of fun. You can find the link in the description. So when I was drawing, I noticed that some of the colors were different from the color sample on the marker. And today I want to test all of them to see where they stand, because they are so expensive and when you buy them you really want to color on a sample match the color you will get on a paper. So for this reason I bought this HP premium paper, which is supposed to be extra bright, extra white, extra thick, and I think this should be perfect for the testing purposes. So without really a lot of talking, let's go to the test. So the first color I will test is YR07, and it is orange. So I'll apply one coat, two coats, and three coats. So overall the color looks very close to the sample color. I think the closest you will get when you apply 3 and more coats, as you can see, because if you apply one coat it's still a little light and it's more of a yellowish orange instead of the red orange. So I think the 3 coats matches the best. The next one is YR14. Oops. YR14, and let's see, we'll apply one coat, two coats, and 3 coats. Let's see, I think the overall color looks the same as the sample color. I think you'll get the best result when you apply 3 coats, because it's as dark as the sample color. If you apply one coat, it's still a little light, but the overall shade is the same. So I think this is it's a perfect match. This is BG10, and it is a cool shadow, which is a very pale blue. Again, let's see, overall I think it's a perfect match. I think this color is really, the colors are really the same. Again, I think you will get the best result when you apply 3 and more coats. I think 1 is a little too light. As you can see, the sample color is way darker than one coat of the color. 2 is getting better, still not the same, and 3 is the best. But overall, it is the perfect match for this marker. I think you can totally get the same color as the sample color if you apply more than one coat. The next one is G07, and it is Nile green. We'll apply 1 coat, 2 coats, and 3 coats. And again, I think this is the perfect match. Okay. I think this is the perfect match. I think the overall color is the same, the shade is the same, and you can totally get the same color when you apply 3 and more coats. The one looks a little light, but again, this is the same shade, so overall you can get the color exactly the same color as the sample color. So great match. The next color is RV19. Let's apply. This is a beautiful color. I don't think this is a perfect match. It doesn't quite match the 1 coat, nor the 2 coats, nor the 3 coats. I think actually in this case the best match would be with the 1 coat applied, because it's still the same shade, a shade of pink. When you go to 2 and more coats, you will get more of a red instead of the pink. So I would say you can get, it's not a perfect match, and you can get exactly the same color, but the closest one would be with 1 coat applied. Next one is YR24. Beautiful color. In terms of the matching, I don't think it matches neither of these colors. I think the best you can go is 3 and more coats, but again, it's slightly different, so it's not a perfect match, and you can get exactly the same, but the closest one will be with 3 coats applied. This color is B06, and it is Peacock blue. Beautiful bright color. That I think matches the sample color. I think it's best when the 3 coats applied, even though the shade might be slightly different. I think this is more of a teal instead of the blue, but again, not a perfect match. I would honestly give it like 9.5 out of 10 if we would do rating, but overall not bad. 3 and more coats applied and you will get the closest match. This is B14 and the name of this color is light blue. Yeah. Again, it's very similar to the previous color. I think it is a almost perfect match. I think the 1 coat is the best match. With 2 and 3 coats applied, the color gets a little darker than it's supposed to be, as it's supposed to be on sample color. So I think it is a perfect match in terms of the color. I would go with 1 coat applied if you want to get exactly the same, but again, this is a perfect match. This is C9 and it is cool gray number 9. Overall pretty dark color, almost black. As you can see, I think overall you can totally get the sample color out of this marker. I think it's best when applied 3 coats. I think 4 coats would be way too many and the color would be too dark. But overall, perfect match. You can totally get the sample color out of this marker and I think it's pretty close. This is V0. This is V09 and the name of the color is Violet. Let's see how it is on the paper. But I think the color overall matches the sample color. I think it works best when you apply 1 coat. I think when you go 2 and more, the color gets way too dark. As you can see, the sample color really stands out when you put it against the 3 coat color. So I would go with 1 coat and pretty good match, I think. This is G97 and it's a Spanish olive. Beautiful color. Let's see if it matches the sample. Overall, pretty much. Overall, I think it's the same shade. However, I think the sample color is way darker than any of this. I think the best match will be 3 coats, but again, not perfect. As you can see, the sample color is darker than any of these colors, especially if you apply just 1. You can really see that 1 coat really stands out. And I think this is not a bad match, but again, you have to apply more than 2 coats, I think. This is Y15 Yellow. Nice color. Honestly, I think it doesn't match any of these colors, so it's not a perfect match of the sample color and the color you get when you draw. I think this is more of the green yellow, all of them actually, so you can't get exactly the same because the shade of yellow is a little different, but I mean it gets closer when you apply 3 and more coats, even though the overall shade is a bit different. So I don't see this as a perfect match. I think the yellow you get is a little different from the sample color. So again, if we do rating, I would give it probably 8 because it doesn't look the same. This is B23 and this is blue, another shade of blue. Nice color. I think it's not a bad match. I think the overall shade is the same. It doesn't quite match the one coat color. I would say 3 is the perfect. So, and I think that's actually the perfect match, honestly. So I think you can totally get the sample color out of this marker, especially if you apply 3 and more coats. Again, I think this is perfect. As you can see, it's, I don't know how about you, but I think this is the same, honestly. So perfect match, great marker. This is YG23 and this is New Leaf. This is the light shade of green. I think it's more of a green and yellow together. Beautiful color. I think this is another great match. I think you can totally get the sample color out of this marker, especially if you apply, I think 2 coats actually. Look, the 1 coat is lighter and the 3 coats and more is way darker than it should be supposed to be. So I think 2 coats is actually perfect. So I would call it a perfect match. This is YR09 and this is Chinese Orange. Nice. Okay. I think it doesn't match any of this color. Colors actually, maybe the 3 coats is the best. But the sample color seems to be a bit more red than the orange we get on the paper. So I wouldn't call it perfect match. I would say you need to apply more than 3 coats to get exactly the same, because those 1 coat, 2 coats, and even 3 coats are lighter than the sample color. So not a perfect match, but you can get a close color. This is E09. Oof. I would say that this is not good at all in terms of the matching. I think the shade is different. I think the sample color is brown, more of a gray brown, and the color on the paper is more of an orange brown, lighter brown than it is. So it doesn't match this, it doesn't match this, and it certainly doesn't match this. So not a perfect match. I think those are different shades. The sample color, I mean the sample color and the color on the paper are different. So it has a different shade in it. So it's either you have to apply more coats, or you can't even get the same color anyway. So I think not a perfect match. I think they're different, and yeah. This is R32 and this is Peach. I actually like this color. It was really fun to draw it. It's also beautiful. Here we go. I think I like the color on the paper, but the sample color doesn't really translate into the color on the paper. I think it doesn't match, and it's pretty clear that it doesn't match. The sample color has more pink in it. I think it's more pink than peach. So not a perfect match. Beautiful color though. The color on the paper is really peach. I think it's really close to peach, but the sample color more of a pink. This is R37. Nice color. I don't think it matches well though. As you can see, I think if you apply more than 3 coats you might get the close color, but overall I think the sample color is darker, and I mean you can apply more coats, but I guess it has a different shade in it. I think this is more pink than red, and this has a little more red in it, even though it's dark red. Overall not a perfect match, but I think you can get a close color if you apply more than 3 coats, probably 5 or 6. This is E29. Oops. I don't think it matches any of the colors, honestly. I don't think it matches. I think this is darker and it has less red in it, like at least on the sample color. I think it doesn't match. I think it's the different colors. You might get, again, you might get the same color if you apply more than 3 coats, but when you draw you don't really want to apply more than 3 coats, I guess. You want to get the color you want to get from the first try, or at least the second one, but I guess those are different colors. Really doesn't really match anything, as you can see. This is Y21, and it is very pale yellow. They call it Buttercup yellow. Nice color. I think it matches the overall vibe. I think you will get the best match if you apply 1 coat, honestly, because 2 seems a bit too much and it's dark. 3 seems way darker than it is, so I think 1 color is best. It's not a perfect match, don't get me wrong, but I think this is close enough. But again, if you want to get this exactly the same as a sample color, don't apply more than 3 coats. Maybe even more than 2 coats is not good enough. This is B26. Nice in the Reach blue, even though they look a bit different. I think the sample color has more teal in it than the blue, and I think the overall shade is totally different. You need to apply more than 3 coats to get exactly the same, and even then I don't think you will get the same color. I think this has a little more green in it than this one, so not a perfect match. Beautiful color though. This is Y11, and it's so pale, I don't know if you can see it. Actually, they call it pale yellow. I think it is a perfect match. I think the overall color look exactly the same. You can totally get it out of 1 shade, maybe 2. 3 seems a bit too much, but 1 and 2 are perfect. So I think this is a great match. Perfect color, no questions. This is YR18. Another orange. This is YR18. Another orange. I think it is a good match. It is a good match. You can totally get the simple color out of this marker. I think it's best. It works best when you apply 3 coats and more. I probably wouldn't go more than 4, but overall it's a great match. You can totally get the color and the shade is the same. So I think we will call it a perfect match. This is Y13. I don't know if you can see that. Hopefully you can. This is the lemon yellow. This is supposed to be yellow and green kind of together. I don't think this is a good match though. I think the color on the paper is more of a green yellow instead of the yellow. So I don't think this is a perfect match. As you can see, none of them matches the simple color. Again, I think the color on the paper translates to be more of a green than yellow. So beautiful color, but not a perfect match. This is G99 and this is Olive. I really like this color. I like this shade of green. I think we would call it perfect match because the color looks exactly the same as the simple color. You can totally get it out of 2 coats. I think that's the best match. Look, they're all almost identical. I think 1 coat is a little too light, 3 coats is a little too dark, and 2 coats is just perfect. So very nice match, perfect marker. This is R02 and this is the Rose Salmon. Beautiful names they have. I think this color is something in between orange and pink, and as you can see, this is not a perfect match. The sample color doesn't match any of the colors that I have here. Overall, it is close. I would say it's close. It just you need to apply more than 3 coats to get exactly the same. But not a great match, but it's close. So I would say it's like 8.5 or even maybe 9 out of 10. This is Y06 and this is yellow. Another yellow. I think it's a beautiful color, and I don't think this is a perfect match, but I think this is close. As you can see, not exactly the same. This one is a bit more yellowish, orange yellow than the color on the paper. I think the color on the paper looks a bit more of a green yellow, but again, I think those are close, not identical, but good, close to each other. This is YG13. Overall, not bad, not identical. I think this is a bit more of a neon color than the color on the paper. Not a perfect match. but you can get a very close color out of this marker. This is Y26, and they call it Mustard. Close, not identical. As you can see, the sample color is very dark compared to any of these colors, and I think even the shade is a bit different. I think this is has more brown in it, more red than this one on the paper. So again, not a perfect match. Close, yes, but not perfect. This is W5, and this is Warm Gray number 5. Nice color. I think we would call it a perfect match. I think the overall shade is the same. You can totally get the color on your paper matching the sample color. I think the 3 coats is perfect, even maybe 4. So I would call it a perfect match, and overall the colors are the same. This is YG03, and the name of the color is Yellow Green. I would call it perfect, actually. I think the sample color and the color on the paper are matching. I think they're very close to each other. I would probably go with 3 and more coats. They're not identical, don't get me wrong. I think the color, the sample color is darker and has slightly different shade of green. But overall, they are pretty close. So I would give it 9 out of 10. This is not a perfect match, but very, very close. This is YR23, and this is yellow, another yellow. I think overall not bad. The shade looks the same, the shade of yellow. I don't see, well, maybe the 3 coats is the perfect, almost perfect match. Overall, I think the sample color matches the color on the paper. You can totally get the same colors. This is R27, another shade of red. Even though it reminds me a bit of orange. I don't see this color as a perfect match. I think the sample color is darker and it has more crimson in it than any of these colors. You see, 1 coat, 2 coats, 3 coats, the overall color looks a bit different. So it's not a perfect match. And I wouldn't even say that it is very, very close. None of these colors are very close. So not a great match. This is B29, beautiful blue color. I would call it perfect. I think the color, you can totally get this sample color matching the color on your paper. I think the best you'll get if you go 3 and more coats, but overall this is a perfect match and I think it works just fine. This is W3 and it is the Warm Gray number 3. Overall, nice color, nice matching. Maybe one is a little too dark, too light, 2, 3. I think 3 and more would work the best. Overall, great match, no question asked. This is G29 Lime Green. I think this is a beautiful, beautiful color. One of my favorites. I think it matches well. I would call it a perfect match. The sample color is exactly the same as your color on the paper. I think you can get totally identical if you go 2 and more coats. I would say 3. So perfect match. Perfect, perfect, perfect. This is YG95. Beautiful color. It doesn't match perfectly. I think the sample color is darker than any of the colors here. I think the best you can go is 3 coats and more. Again, not identical, very close though. So I wouldn't call it a perfect match, especially if you apply just 1 coat, because you can see the sample color is way darker than the color on the paper. But it's not too bad. I guess you can get the colors to match, but you have to apply 5 and more coats, I think, as 3 is way lighter than it's supposed to be. This is W7, and this is the warm gray number 7. Overall, I think it's not identical, but it's close. I think the sample color is darker than any of the colors I have here. But I think you can get the same color if you apply 4 and 5 or 5 coats, but it doesn't match the 1 coat and 2 coats. So I wouldn't call it a perfect match, because you have to do a bit more work to get them to the same level, but it's not terrible. This is BG09, and this is blue green. Nice colors. You can see that unfortunately doesn't match well. So you can see that the sample color is way darker than the color on the paper. The shade is close, even though I think this color has more blue in it than this one. This one is, the sample color here has more of a green or teal in it, and also darker, so it doesn't match well. Yeah, I would probably give it, if we were rating, I would give it I don't know, 6, maybe 7 at best. This is B05. It is another shade of blue. I would call it a pretty good match. I think the overall blue on the marker matches the color on the paper. I think it's identical, especially when you apply 3 coats. So overall, great match. This is YG91, and this is Putty. I don't like the color, but I think it is a perfect match. I think the sample color really matches well the color on the paper. I think the 3 coats and more would get you the identical color, but overall the shade looks the same, and even though the 1 coat looks a little light, 2 coats, 3 coats maybe getting there, but I think overall, if we are comparing the sample color and the color on the paper, they look the same. This is YR04. That is a light orange. Let's see if it matches. I like the color, but I don't think it matches well. I don't think it's a good match because the color on the paper has more yellow in it than the simple color on the marker. As you can see, it doesn't match well. I think those two are completely different colors. This is BG15, one of my favorite colors in this set. They call it Aqua. Beautiful color that I think doesn't match as well the simple color. Honestly, I think the simple color has more of a blue in it than the color on the paper, especially if we compare to more than 2 coats. I think the 1 coat will be the best match, even though it's not perfect. But overall not too bad, but as you can see, this one is more of a blue while this one is a light teal color. This is RV29 and this is crimson. Not bad, not bad. I think three coats is the best match. I think 1 coat, it's when you apply just 1 coat, it seems more of a pink. I think the color on the paper has more pink than color as is on the marker. But overall, not a bad match. I think three coats would be the best. Overall, not bad. This is R08. Ugh. Another orange. Matches well. Not bad. I don't think the 1 coat matches well, but 3 coats and more would be nice. I think the overall it's a great match. The sample color and the color on the paper looks pretty much the same. Not identical, not perfect, but I would say it matches well to even I would say 90, maybe 98%. So not perfect, but very, very good. This is BG18 and this is teal blue. Nice color, but I don't think it matches well with the simple color, honestly. I think you have to apply way too many coats to match this color perfectly. But I honestly like the color on the paper way better than the color on the marker. So I wouldn't say this is a perfect match, even though it's close enough. I think you have to apply more coats, more than 5 coats to get very close to the simple color. Overall not bad, the same shade, but I wouldn't call it a perfect match. This is B37, another blue. Again, not perfect, but I think not bad in terms of matching. I think 1 coat doesn't really match, but when you apply 3 and more, it will get closer to the sample color. So overall, not bad, the same shade, and I would call it a good match. This is B34. This is very It's so hard to open them sometimes. This very beautiful light blue color. I would say this is nice. This is very close. I think the best when you apply maybe 2 coats. Overall color is the same, so perfect match. This is RV17 and they call it Deep Magenta. Not my favorite color in the world, but matches well. I think matches well, yes. I think they're almost identical. I think this is a very, very great match. Nice, works well. This is RV09. Beautiful color, which matches okay, not perfect. Yeah, not perfect at all. I think this is way darker than the colors on the paper, but in terms of the shade, in terms of the overall color, it looks the same, almost the same, so I would still keep it as a good match even though it's not identical. This is B29. And it is a dark blue, which honestly doesn't look the same. It doesn't look the same to me. I think you have to apply way too many coats to get to this simple color. I think they even have different shades. I think this is more of the dark ocean blue, teal, dark teal instead of the blue. So I don't see this as a perfect match, and I don't even see it as a good match. I think to me they are different. This is G99. They call it marine green. And overall, not bad. Not bad at all. I think you can get almost identical color when you apply 3 coats. I think overall this is a good match. The colors, the one on the sample and the one you get when you draw with this looks pretty much the same. So I would call it a good match. Yes. This is E44. Now, as you can see, not a perfect match, not even close. I think you can see it, doesn't matter where I put it against you, it's still different. I think this is a bad match. Yeah, and you know what? I noticed that every brown in this set doesn't really matches the sample color. So I think maybe they have some problems with browns, but as you can see, this is, I think, the 3rd shade of brown, which doesn't really match. This is G17 Forest Green. Beautiful color. Beautiful color, and I think it matches well. Yeah. Overall, the color is pretty much the same. You can get identical if you apply 4 more coats. Overall, I think this is a great match. Yeah. This is E33 light brown, or sand color as they call it. I like the color. I think it matches actually well. I didn't expect it, but it matches well. I think 2 coats is the best you can get but overall the color looks pretty much the same, even though I think the color on the paper has a little more orangeness than the color on the marker. But I think if you apply one coat, maybe two, you can get very close. So I think it's a good match. This is E37, another shade of brown. Let's see if it matches, because I just told you that brown doesn't match. Let's see if this one does a better job. Nope, it doesn't. I don't think it matches well. I think it has a different shade of brown on the sample color. As you can see, first of all, it's way darker than any of these colors. And I don't know how many coats you have to apply to match this color. I think maybe infinity. But yeah, it doesn't match well. It's completely different color. And again, this is the brown, another brown that doesn't match. This is G28, and it is the ocean green. It should be a beautiful color. And yes, it is. But does it match as well? Overall, it's not a bad match. I think the sample color is darker than any of these colors, but I guess with the certain amount of coats you can get the same color, but overall the shade is the same. So I would call it a good match. And if you really want to get the identical color, then just apply more coats. This is C1. I don't know if you can see. Hopefully you can. It is a very light gray. They call it cool gray number 1. Well, let's see. Yeah, I think it's a great match. I have no question choose this color. I think it best matches when you have 3 coats maybe, but 2 and 3 coats works perfectly. They work perfectly together, so I think we can call it a great match. This is C7, another gray color. They call it gray color number 7. Overall, not a bad match. I think 3 coats matches the best, but I think the colors look identical. This is C5, another gray color. I think it's a perfect match. You can see that it perfectly matches the color. So no question asked. Yeah, perfect. This is RV04, and this is my favorite color. They call it shock pink. Not 100% identical, but very, very close, so I will call it a great match. I think the 1 coat actually matches the best, maybe 2, because when you apply 3 and more coats, it gets a bit more of a neon pink than the shade on the sample color. But overall, good match. This is W1, and this is the warm gray, and that's the lightest of the warm grays. As you can see, great match, even though they look a bit different. I think you have to apply more than 3 coats to get identical, but overall not a bad match. I think this one has a bit more yellow in it than this, so this one is a bit warmer, but overall not bad. I would give it maybe 8 out of 10. This is RV11, and this is pink. I don't think it matches well. I think the color on the marker has a different shade of pink. I think it has more orange in it, or red. No, I think orange than the pink on the paper. So overall, not a great match, not a perfect match. I wouldn't even say that this is close. I think you have to apply way too many coats to get it closer to the sample color. So not a great match. I don't know, I would give it 7 out of 10. This is C3, and this is Cool Gray number 3. Okay. Nice, works perfectly. I think it matches the overall color. I think the 3 coats is actually identical, so the this color, Cool Gray number 3, is a perfect match. This is the this color doesn't have any letters. It just has the number 100, and this is black. Honestly, to me, every shade, every coat looks the same. Maybe just the first one is a little too light, but overall, all of 3 coats look the same, and I think they match as well the sample color. As you see, the 1 coat is a bit too light, but 2 coats and 3 coats are identical. The color just blends in. What's interesting about this set of markers is that it has 2 black colors, and this is the color number 810, and this is the special black. I honestly don't know if it's any different from the regular black, but we'll see. Again, I think it matches perfectly. It's just one of those colors. Maybe the 1 shade looks a little light, but 2 and 3, especially 3, you just lose the color, so it blends in identically, perfectly. And I have 2 papers here now. I have special black and just black, and honestly, I think they look the same. To me, they look exactly the same. This is the black and this is the special black. So I think this one is supposed to be darker, but to me, they look the same. This is W9, and the name of the color is Warm Gray number 9. It's supposed to be dark gray and brown kind of together color. I think it matches well, especially if you apply three coats. It just blends in perfectly. So I would call it a great match, and the color on the paper matches the color on the marker. This is YR00. The color's name is Powder Pink, so it's very light pink, and I would say it's not even pink. It's more of an orange pink. I think we can call it a perfect match, since I can totally see this color matching the sample color. Not identical, don't get me wrong. It has a bit of a difference. I think this one is more orange than this one, but overall I think it's not a bad match. I think they look the same, close at least. This is V06 Lavender color. Beautiful color that I think matches well. I think we can call it, if not a perfect match, I think it's a good match. It doesn't match one coat, but it matches almost close to the 3 coats. I think this one has a bit more violet in this in it than the color on the paper, but overall it's not a bad match. I think I would give it 8.5, maybe even 9 out of 10. It's not bad. And the last color I have is B32, and it is pale blue. Beautiful color, if you ask me, that I think matches well, honestly. I think the best you can get if you apply 3 and more coats, but overall not a bad match. I think it's almost identical, so we will give it a pass. One more marker that I have in my set actually has no color to it. It has number 0 and the name is Colorless Blender. You can use it to soften the edges or erase the color, and let me show you how you do this. So first, take any color. I would go with my favorite, which is Shock Pink, and apply it to the paper. While it is still wet, apply the Colorless Blender. And you can see that it kind of softened the edges, and it kind of blurs the edge as well. You can also erase the color. So again, apply the base color while it is still wet. Bring in the blender, colorless blender, and kind of stab it in one place. As you can see, it pushes the color away. So if you need to erase the color, you can use this colorless blender, because it will push your color away from the tip of the blender. So it is pretty useful tool to have, and you can use it in different ways.